Oh, and we're back. So let's see if we can get this thing working. And it's so funny too that you mentioned after we started having our technical difficulties, like, yeah, why would we fucking try to do this for our anniversary episode with technology and methods that we have never tested or anything else? We're just fuck it, we'll just do it live, right?
Do it live. Why the fuck not?
Yeah,
it's gotten us this far. It's got us into doing this shit for a year.
Yeah,
I'm gonna eat my Pop-Tart even though we're on the air.
That's fine.
All right,
I'll edit the stuff out of the show too.
Really? All right.
Or not. I don't know.
Fucking comic gold, man.
Dave eating a Pop-Tart live on YouTube.
All right. No, why not? Hopefully my chewing didn't make it into 30 seconds of silence.
Did you change the title of this at all when you started? Okay, good.
It's called the episode 54 1-year anniversary show part 2.
Nice.
I thought you liked that. All right, so
trying to get into the job. There it is. Oh, we've got 4 people watching already. All right. Tom's back. So we still have to do Scott's portion. So Scott says he's here. Are we ready to try to bring him in this time?
I'm gonna try.
All right. Do you want to finish your Pop-Tart first?
No. I got a whole nother half to go. So.
Oh my god.
This shit's happening.
Fuck it. We'll do it live. So.
All right. So. There he is. Right there. Invite sent. And let's see what happens. We are live.
Yes. Yes,
fucking
we are.
Glare, man. Constantly fighting this glare. Look at it. Look at it.
I can see it. Trust me.
Holy shit. Got it working.
Hey, I see a microphone.
Oh my gosh. What the hell's still ringing in my head?
All right. Now, see, this is some background that I can really get into. See that nice 49ers jacket back there? Look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that.
Yes. So, all right. Welcome.
Finally, right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's what happens when you got a Mac Mini. You haven't done much with it, but make a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we make the podcast back at Starkiller Studios with a Mac, and actually, the only reason I have this stupid Dell laptop is for this. If I had a camera on my Mac Mini, I'd probably be using it the same way you are right now. So,
yeah, I went and bought the camera. Got lucky with this Mac Mini though. I mean, I think it was like February. Local Fox channel here was doing a contest, and I thought I was going to win Beat headphones. Instead, I ended up winning the grand prize, which was a home recording studio.
Sweet.
Holy shit, man. That's awesome.
Which came with the Mac Mini, the monitor. I mean, it came with everything, including this microphone. Got the pop filter from Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah. Amazon's our friend.
Yes, it is. And Bronco Fett does not approve of your 49ers background, but I say to him, suck it, because,
Well, hey, just so you know, Bronco Fett, I was born in Reno, so that's Nevada Wolfpack country, but I do root for Boise State because my grandparents did live in Payette for my whole childhood.
Yeah.
So, and my uncle went to Boise State too, so I got, and he actually still lives up in Boise. So I do have family up and around Idaho. I've got family in Washington, Oregon.
All right.
Very cool.
We don't have to kiss fucking Bronco Fett's ass anymore.
Come on.
Yeah. He's had his moment in the sun. So, yeah. So now we have, if you hadn't figured it out, Scott Rasmussen. Have I been pronouncing that right this whole time? Rasmussen?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was never sure, even back when we read your first iTunes review many moons ago. So I'm glad I've been saying it right.
Speaking of the iTunes review, that's funny because I actually last night I went back on Vince Russo's page on YouTube and found the episode 17 that you were on, Jason.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
Yeah, that's how I learned about the podcast.
That's right. Yeah, because you saw when I went on the Russo's brand.
Right, on the Castrated Marks.
That's right. Oh, man. That's Hey, at least it got us one new viewer, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and Scott, if for anybody who doesn't know, does his own podcast. You do the Used and Abused podcast, which you now got your first official episode out there. Anything you want to mention about as far as the podcast goes?
I just want to thank everybody. Thank you guys again for giving the plugs out on it. Thank you to Bronco Fett for the nice review. And if you're not following it, just look up Used and Abused music podcast on Apple iTunes. I'm trying to remember all the ones. I know Radio Public, Overcast, and Pocket Cast, I think, something like that.
Yeah, get on Google Play too if you can. Google Play is a big distributor of podcasts now as well. So
yeah, that's the next one when I try to get it on.
Yep. And you picked a very unique album for your first episode, too. It was nothing that I was expecting, but I really enjoyed, especially the background on the guy. I guess he was a former Air Force bomber and like all of his history. It was really informative, shit that I had no idea about.
Well, I mean,
I'll say I was surprised as well at your choice, especially after your kind of preview episode. I was like, oh, and you said it in the beginning of the podcast, too. And again, thanks for mentioning us for the follows that, it's fantastic. But I was expecting, it's going to be Motley Crue for sure.
Right.
And,
I mean, even my wife thought the same thing. She's like, oh, you're going to do probably Too Fast for Love or Shout at the Devil. Cause it's actually Shout at the Devil was the first album I ever heard by Motley Crue. But I don't know. I started thinking about my grandmother and then remember that record that had my great grandmother's name on it. And I was thinking about her too. And then, I mean, it was like 81 when she passed away.
Yeah.
So it's been a long. I mean, I pretty much remember the pictures of her, and I thought, you know what? Here's something she listened to. Let's hear it. I don't even know if I've ever heard of Tennessee Ernie Ford. Then, of course, when I looked up the history, found out 16 tons. I've heard that, and the other one, Davy Crockett one. I've heard those, but yeah, it was total shock.
yeah, it was a really unique way to start the show, so I really appreciated that. And I liked hearing the history about you and your grandmother and how you came in possession of the albums. So good stuff. But we're not here to talk about your fucking podcast, all right?
Exactly.
So we're here to talk about Star Wars.
First of all, congratulations on you guys' year. This is great. It's awesome. I love this podcast, and I'll still listen to it.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And so we've got a few questions for you. First, we're going to start off with just some generic questions, and then we're going to roll into the trivia. So, Dave, you want to start us off?
No.
Are you done with your fucking Pop-Tarts over there yet?
I am. I actually just finished my Pop-Tart. So,
oh my God. All right. I'll start us off then. I'll start it off with an easy one. Same question we started off with Bronco Fett. And what is your favorite movie of the Star Wars series?
My favorite movie is the first movie I ever went and seen in the theater, Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
I got to see it release weekend in McMinnville, Oregon, and that was actually the first one I saw. Well, technically, I did see A New Hope, but I saw it on 8mm film.
Oh, damn!
A very condensed version of like 30 minutes.
So I know you don't normally ask a lady her age, but how old were you when Empire Strikes Back came out?
Let's see, 80. I was 9.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So, yeah, it would have been 10 and 71.
So you're just a handful of years older than me and Dave.
Have been 10, right.
Okay. Very cool. So, Dave, have you composed yourself yet? Are you ready to join this conversation?
No. Well, I'm gonna peek behind the curtain here real quick, and I actually asked Tom how the sound was, because right now it's modulating a little bit in my headset, so I don't know how other people are hearing it, but both you and Jason are both got a little echoey, but Tom says it sounds good on YouTube, so I'm sure it's fine. Might just be my headset.
Okay.
So that's my Pop-Tart notwithstanding, that's where my where my distraction's been. Just for the sake of continuity, for asking for between you and Bronco Fett, what were your thoughts on The Last Jedi? In a nutshell, just generally speaking, obviously don't want to break it down anymore than we already have.
Right. Well, let me just real quick. I didn't get to see it originally when it came out. Pretty much our whole family got sick. By the time it was out of here, I didn't get a chance to see it. So the first time I saw it was just before you guys did the review on the Blu-ray.
Oh, no shit.
But I had already listened to you guys, so my expectations were really low for that movie. But
all right, well, that's great. That then based on that, but knowing that us lowering your expectations, then I feel like you were going to get a better idea what you thought the movie was.
Yeah, I mean, as far as bits and pieces, you know, the Mary Poppins flying Princess Leia part, you know, I'm sorry, but actually, it was a good movie as long as you clear your mind of a lot of what happened in Force Awakens. You know, if you don't fret on, oh, well, who is Snoke or who are all these people? What's the story? You know, what's the part of the story coming from Force Awakens that's not being answered? If you clear out all that type of stuff, then it's actually a good movie.
All right, I can understand that.
That's an interesting insight, you know, and it may not be something that we've talked about before. Where I know I've said personally that I'd take the movie after I saw it the first time and had my expectations shattered. Right. And when I went into it a little bit with a cleaner mind and, you know, was listening to the music and stuff like that, I appreciated the movie a lot more. But I think that's actually fairly good insight. Take that movie completely out of context to the trilogy and just watch it for a movie. And I would tend to agree with you that it holds up. But that being said, do you think, you know, this is kind of a side question, but do you think that that's appropriate for a movie like this? This movie should be part of the trilogy. We know that we had Force Awakens where we're introduced to these characters. Was it appropriate to have, while it may be a good movie as it stands by itself, Jason's drinking, was it appropriate to have a movie that was so isolated? Now Jason's leaving.
I see that. As far as, you know, being continuity with what, 8 movies now or 7 or how many ever. No, you need to answer questions. You need to follow the storyline. But if you're looking just to, because I actually did that with the prequels. Now, mind you, I can't stand Jar Jar, and I hate the second movie. But as far as it goes, if you're going continuity, then yeah, the movie is not that good because you don't really get any questions answered from The Force Awakens.
And I think we feel the same way. But it's, you know, I think it's a good movie. There's definitely parts of it to like, but I think from a continuity standpoint, I think that's where a lot of us fell out. I'm really trying to avoid the fact that Jason got off headset, went and got a fucking San Francisco shirt. You know, I could wear the Super Bowl champion Eagle shirts fucking day long. All day long. We could do that. You know, we could talk about how the 49ers just had a mediocre draft. And you overpaid for fucking what's his name, Garoppolo, who's probably going to snap his fucking ankle in week 1. So, you know what? It almost makes me want to root for the fucking Seahawks.
Go ahead.
Just out of spite. And I lived in the San Francisco area. You know, my dad was in the Navy. We lived in the Bay Area for a handful of years. So, you know, be careful.
I would just say
lightly there, Jason.
I don't get to come across many other 49ers fans living in the Northeast. So when I do, I'd like to, you know,
drag that shirt out. Like, why would you even have brought that with you all the way to Mississippi? For one, it's a long sleeve shirt.
It is. Well, I came down here in February.
Is that the only long sleeve shirt you brought?
No, I brought 4 actually.
Are they all 49ers?
No. The others are Old Navy. Why are we talking about my clothes? What?
Because you got out of fucking 49ers. You know, forget it. Anyway. We're talking about Star Wars. Scott,
I don't know.
Keep us on the rails here.
Here, there's a good Christmas present. Oops.
Oh,
what is that?
Is that like a framed picture?
There.
Nice. I like it.
I do like that. That would look good somewhere back here. I need Star Wars area.
On my wall over here, but I took it down I'd show it off.
Nice.
My brother-in-law got that for me for Christmas.
Oh, excellent.
Nice.
All right. What's our
So let's roll into some trivia. So
Yeah, well, don't ask the anal one because I have no friggin' clue.
oh man, you both missed that. All right. Well, his name was Jim. So that was my friend from the late '90s who loved Star Wars and anal. So
The worst part was I remembered the episode. I'm going, oh my gosh, who was that?
yeah, very generic name. His
I
name was
can't
Jim.
not forget it because the fact that it was the whole story, the whole storyline with like, oh, it started out innocently enough, and I was like, oh, this is Jason's introduction to New Jersey and going to see movies and stuff like that, and it ends up with that this guy, like every broad that he banged, and got anal from, he dumped and then ended up marrying the one that didn't give it up or some shit like that. Or at least that's how I remember the story. So.
Yeah, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah. Stop this.
All right, so the next trivia question, the next trivia question I have for you is: longtime listener Bronco Fett has never eaten at what establishment?
Oh, good Lord.
Brought this up both on the show once and on social media.
How many points does he need to beat Bronco Fett, by the way?
He needs
Bronco
3 points.
Fett's going to win.
3 points to tie, 4 points to win. We'll throw some extra questions at him too, since
I have no idea. I don't remember.
All right, that would be Waffle House.
Waffle House.
He's never eaten at Waffle House.
Well, Scott, have you eaten at Waffle House?
No.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Not everybody gets the opportunity to be, in the South as long as we got to spend.
I had Waffle House yesterday morning for breakfast, mind you.
Let's say I've lived in Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and now Arizona.
Yeah, this is a very Northwestern specific.
I guess
we've had on. So yeah, Waffle House isn't out there, man.
All right,
you can't hold this. I'm a Waffle House guy. Look, I spend my time down south, and there's actually one I think within a 45-minute drive of us. At home, but.
Like down in Delaware or something.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll give you a pass on that one, I guess. So, next question: can you name either of our wives, mine or Dave's wife? Dave doesn't have wives; he has wife.
I was thinking, wow, polygamy, huh?
Yeah, nope, not here.
We both bring up our wives quite often on the show. So, do you remember either of their first names?
Cappy and Kristen sticking in my head for some reason. I don't know why.
That's exactly right.
All right.
You should get 2 points for that because you got both names.
That's 2 points for Scott. All right, very good.
Good job.
All right, Dave. What do we got next?
Who was our guest for the Spaceballs episode?
Oh, Spaceballs episode, man. That was
a
long time ago.
This is another one. Yeah, this was a while ago, but I'll give you the same hint that I gave Bronco Fett. So we've only ever had, you are the 4th guest ever on the podcast. And Bronco Fett was the 3rd. So we've only ever had 2 other guests. So you got a 50-50 shot if you can remember either of those names.
Bob somebody, wasn't it?
Oh.
No.
What was that?
We only need first names too. You don't have to do last names. Bob is correct.
Woohoo!
Yes.
That was good.
Yes.
That was good. All right, bonus question.
Do
you remember the other guest's name? We say his name often.
No, I don't.
It's usually preamble with the.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I'm gonna have to call time on this one.
Yeah, call time on.
Yeah, we need the Jeopardy music playing.
You're right.
Yeah. I may have to hold on. Splice in Jeopardy music. All right. Yeah, it's the John is who you were looking for.
John.
So, yeah, we know people with very generic names: Jim, John, Bob. now Tom and Scott.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Not getting very far out of our comfort zones.
Last question. This one's going deep. So. We're going all the way back to episode 1 of the show.
Oh, shoot.
Can you remember either mine or Dave's second favorite Star Wars movie? Because we ordered the movies in our preference order. Mine and Dave's was both the same movie for our number one, which was the original Star Wars. Do you remember either mine or Dave's number two movie?
Does Dave remember? It's number two. Hopefully, Jason has this answer written down.
Yeah, right. I'll just go with my favorite one, Empire Strikes Back. I have no idea which one you said it, though.
Judges? Sorry, that is incorrect.
Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, mine was Jedi, and Dave's yours was Force Awakens, right?
I just told you I don't remember.
I'm 90% sure.
He could have said anything. So I would give him.
Sure
I'd give him half a point because I don't. Somebody have to go back into the archives, the Jedi archives, and find out what exactly I said. Because you're gonna ask shit like this. You should have the answers at the ready.
Well, but I knew it. I remembered it.
Real quick, I want to answer Bronco Fett real quick. Hey, Bronco Fett, just say no. I don't like Steve Young either.
What's with all this Steve Young hate? He took him to a Super Bowl.
He went to one Super Bowl and then talked about take that monkey off my back. I'm sorry, but you got to win 4 before you can get rid of Joe Montana.
I cannot argue that fact. I'm just hoping that Jimmy G is our next guy. So
hopefully,
yep. Yeah, you can keep hoping.
So it looks like we have a tie with our trivia contest between Scott and Bronco Fett.
You know what? That's good. I applaud the tie. Applaud the tie. Everyone gets a medal. We'll have the medal ceremony. You both can get shiny medals, and then Chewbacca will just stand there and be unhappy.
Yeah. So, Dave, anything else you got for Scott before we let him go?
You know what? Unfortunately, we didn't really get a chance to see Bronco Fett's response.
I did.
BYU garbage. I did want to bring up, you're an avid listener to the show, and you give us a lot of props, and you're also one of those guys that really helps us out and gets our podcast out there, and you with your podcast, we want to do the same for you. So, but we really appreciate everything you did. Is there anything specific that you want to see us doing? Like, do you have a podcast topic that you think that, hey, I'd like to hear these guys talk about? Anything like that?
I mean, I would say touch more on the legacy stuff. I'm not too keen on Disney changing back to saying all that stuff is legacy when, I mean, some of that stuff was actually, I hate to say it, but better than what the last 2 movies have been.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no argument there. I mean, you've heard me talk about it numerous times. Right. How much more I loved, even just the Fate of the Jedi series.
Yeah. And that's definitely in the cards. I mean, we've already done it a little bit with the Darth Bane books, and I certainly want to expand more into the Legends material and kind of touch back on that stuff because there was some really good shit back then.
There was.
I wish I wish I would have had them down, but unfortunately they're buried in my closet right now. I have got these comic books that I bought back with some DVDs back in the early 2000s that were the original movies, the original trilogy, unedited. When Star Wars, the original Star Wars started, it just said Star Wars, no Episode 4, A New Hope.
Yep.
Right. Stuff like this.
Yeah. But it came with these 3 comic books that pretty much were about the movies too. And I was like, yes. Because I remember like the Return of the Jedi one, I was actually buying. Unfortunately, like I said, for those who haven't heard in my podcast or the overview one, I beat things up. Now, of course, I'm going, I wish I still had my Jabba the Hutt. I wish I still had my Millennium Falcon. I wish I had half that stuff.
Don't we all?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yep. So, all right. Scott, do you have any last thing that you want to say to us or ask us before we let you go? Because we do have to.
There goes the Marine Corps.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you can hear that really well.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Was that CV-22?
I have no idea. It's the ones where the propellers.
Yeah. CV-22.
Well, I didn't know what it was.
How sad is that I could tell that by the sound through the
Right?
microphone?
Mainly, I just want to again thank you guys for this great podcast. Also, thank you both for your service, and keep up the great work.
All right, well, thank you, Scott, and we would love to have you back on. And like we said last week, if you ever do those 3 particular albums that we talked about, give us a call because you know I've always been an avid music fan. I love albums as an art form. Just listening to an entire album, old, new. You know, I like a good mix of music. So yeah, keep us in mind.
Oh, I will. And that's the reason why I started my podcast, because I constantly hear people, oh, I just buy the hits. Like, man, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah. Nice. I'm with Jason. Pet Sounds. You're going to do Pet Sounds. You can have us both on for that.
I definitely will. I'll let you guys know when.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks again, Scott, for all your support and everything else. And we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Cheers, Scott.
Cheers.
All right, and we're still live, right?
We're still live. Yeah. Hello. So I've got I got this thing figured out. I realized too that when you had your 49ers shit on, I could click hide you from the broadcast.
You can end my video feed. You can I can still be on the audio portion, but you
would be hidden.
So like if you truly want to make this video stream all about Dave, you could just click off anybody else, and just all we would see is you.
I could. I don't want to do that though, honestly.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. Apologies for any technical difficulties that still come through in the final audio portion of this. We didn't really think this through, like, you know, maybe testing ahead of time or anything else like that. It was kind of done on the fly, but that's what we do.
Yeah, it is. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Yep. One of the things that I do want to say before we close out, since we have the extra audio time that we bought by starting and stopping.
Yes.
I kind of, we talked about in the state of the podcast, the kind of the direction that we're going and kind of the shift. And it's Jason and I have been talking about it offline about some of the things that we want to see. I like the idea of the going to Legends, talking about more of the expanding universe stuff. I think a big thing with the podcast is the more feedback we get from you as the listener to where we're going or what we're doing, the better off we are.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're kind of seeing it in the download numbers that sometimes when we get into the comics that we're not seeing as good of a feedback, and that's something that we're noticing and we're going to work on, because we want everybody that's out there listening to us, and whether you're a new listener or whether you've been listening to us from the beginning, whether you're a Scott or a Bronco Fett, we want this to adapt to you. And it's going to be fun for us regardless, but we also want to put out a product that you're as a listener are going to enjoy. So we are, sometimes the download numbers don't lie, and Jason pays attention to that. So we are. Go ahead.
Consistently, the comic book episodes don't do as well as a lot of the others. It's just the way it is. So.
Yeah, and I think there's an audience for that, and not necessarily all of our audience is into the comics. And listen, I've said it 100 times, over 54 podcasts, that my dogs are barking. Damn it. That's like through the heating vents. Like I got an open heating vent right there. And it's like coming through the heating vent.
So they're really pissed off at something.
Yeah. Somebody's walking their dog in front of the house. Let me see if I can close this. See if that helps. Nope. Fuck. Anyway. What I was saying was, I'm not a comic book guy. That I got into the comics because, again, I wanted to get from Force Awakens to The Last Jedi with every bit of information that we could get. And that's kind of where I started really paying more attention to the comics. And the comics right now, I think the Vader series, I think, is still very, very engaging. Whereas, the Star Wars stuff maybe isn't so much. So we'll find a happy medium too. I think my wife will be happy when I'm not getting Star Wars comics in the mail. You know, and thankfully we have Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that you know, we asked for some feedback. One of the posts that we had made about the Force episode, our episode 53.
Yeah.
And you know, my cousin Rick had talked about, there was a specific Dark Horse comic that it had this salt analogy with Mace Windu, where the Yoda and Mace Windu were talking about the salt analogy. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember that post?
No.
Look on our Facebook thing. There was after the Facebook post, he had put something on there. It was good. That's the type of stuff that we love. If we're, you know, you have feedback for us and something that we can talk about later in the podcast. Yeah, throw it out there, and help guide our. Yeah, see, I see this on the chat. See, I was distracted by now.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's the scratchiness is what I was hearing when you guys were on.
Yeah, it's okay. If it sounds good on the YouTube feed, then it's fine. But I mean, yeah, the interconnection between you and I is scratchy as shit.
Yeah, it was like that for me the whole time that we re-engaged on the second episode. But regardless, we can edit that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, feedback. Give us some direction on what you would like to see. I agree. I would like to. I'd like to play some video games. You know, play some of these old video games that we all at one point or another played, and get the do some feedback there, especially since Jason can't really play online. I think we were talking about either playing Knights of the Old Republic. I think we should go with that.
I'd love to do that, honestly.
Yeah,
that'll give me the fucking kick in the balls to finally play through and finish it.
Yeah, and I know there was some feedback in the original chat from the first party episode that said that I think it was I forget. I'm not gonna attribute it to one person just because, but Bronco Fed's telling us to read the Poe Dameron comics.
Yeah, apparently they take place after Last Jedi. There's one that takes place. I saw he posted something on social media about it.
Yeah. Maybe that's a direction that we have to go as we get closer. But hey, we have Solo coming up. There's some stuff we didn't get to talk about for the lead-ins to Solo. We have that. There's the beauty of this, and after doing this for a year, and this is kind of why I'm bringing it up, is there's still so much. There's still so much to talk about.
Yes.
We could probably dedicate an entire year of podcasting just to expand universe material.
Yeah, like just current canon. And then Legends is, 3 more years worth of podcast content,
Yeah. And we're pushing through Clone Wars and we're getting through Rebels too. Now that Jason's got season 1 and we'll get through Rebels and hopefully get to the bottom of some of this. And I think for me, I agree with Jason. Like Jason said, this is kind of the push to get him. It was a push to get him to caught up on the canon.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And for me, it's I'm always wondering what's the next step going to be? Like, how much more is there to learn about these characters and what's going on in this universe? And that's been the best part of this podcast, is getting into stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten into. I was really able to do it with the expanded universe because the books portrayed it so well. Now we have to work for it a little bit.
Yeah.
We kind of have to there's a little bit of Rebels, a little bit of, there's this little piece in Clone Wars, and now it was in the prequels, and then we caught a little bit in Rebels, and so you have to work a little bit harder to get this information out of the Star Wars galaxy. But it's fun, it's fun. It's a fun exercise for sure, and I just enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. You'll get no arguments from me. And yeah, I think basically this is going to have to be an offline discussion that we have of what we want the future direction of the show to be. Because I think we're still going to go through Rebels regardless. Still going to get through Clone Wars regardless. Still going to review all the new movies that come out no matter what. But the stuff in between, the novels, the comics, stuff like that, video games is a big one. We need to just kind of reshift our focus, I think, and kind of hammer out something that the listeners want to hear, as well as being something that we want to explore ourselves.
What is Muito Bem? What does that mean?
What is this in reference to?
Bronco Fett said the sound is Muito Bem.
I have no fucking
Does that
clue.
mean it's getting shitty?
I don't know.
English, por favor.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Speaking of which, there was a really good Samuel L. Jackson part in Avengers too, by the way. Along those lines. Really? But yeah, I can't say any more. It would be a spoiler. So.
Oh, Portuguese.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So we got to close this out because I got a few things I have to do before I go to bed. I've got my subknitting test first thing tomorrow morning, and I have to wear my fucking blues tomorrow. So that's going to be great. Yeah. And I promised my son I'd FaceTime with him tonight before I went to bed. So
very good.
But thanks to everybody for being with us for this last year. It's been a lot of fun for us. It's just been great. And I've been really surprised that we've been able to put out consistent content every single week. That's the thing that I'm shocked about the most, is the fact that for more than 52 weeks in a row, we've been able to consistently put out an episode of the show. So,
well, not more than 52 weeks. We just did more than 52 episodes. But come May 4th, it'll have been 52 weeks.
Yes.
Of content.
Yes, and obviously we're recording this before May the 4th, so I'm sure there's going to be something that happens on that day related to Star Wars that we will then recap in next week's episode.
Absolutely. I hope so.
Yes.
Been a great year, Jason.
Yes, it has. I'm sorry we couldn't have done this in the studio, but things are the way they are. And before this next year is over, we'll be back in the studio, ready to roll and keep the show going live. So until then, Dave, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.